Hi loves! I never realised I self-sabotaged until recently. I always thought self-sabotage was a really big, clear thing that people did. Like, you know when people say they're scared to get into a relationship with somebody, so they don't even go on the date, or they call it off with somebody that they really enjoyed seeing because they're too frightened of getting with them. Or, you know, you've got your dream job and you just feel like you don't deserve it, or you're not good enough, so you just don't even go to the interview. Or you don't turn up on your first day. Like, I thought they were really big, clear moments of like self-destruction and ruining your life. And I definitely haven't got that. I'm definitely the type of person that is like, feel the fear and do it anyway. Cringe, but true. Because for me, I just hate the thought of living with the regret. Like, I think we all know what we can and can't handle. And I know that I cannot handle with the what ifs and basically the FOMO, like of not making a decision. So even if I am not 100% sure on something, chances are I'll still try it. If there's like a little niggle in me that thinks it could work, I'm going to try it because I just know that I can't handle not doing it and then sitting back and wondering, should I have done it? What would have happened if I did? If I went out that night, like what could have happened? I was actually speaking about this to my friend the other day. She was like, you can't just do something if you're not 100% sure just because you're worried about the feeling in the aftermath of not doing it. And I was like, I hear you, but I'm not listening. I don't know if it's the right thing or not, but I just think generally you regret the things that you don't do more than you do. Obviously, you know, there's some stuff I'm like, oh, you know, what a waste of time that relationship was, or probably shouldn't have bothered there. But if I could go back and do anything differently, would I? I don't know. I just think because you just get on with your life and everything teaches you something. So I think generally you don't live with regrets. So anyway, I never realised I did it until very recently by accident. I was reading The Mountain Is You by Brianna West. I don't know if I've spoken about it before. I've definitely spoken about it on my Instagram because I absolutely love the book. I literally posted a picture in the bath the other day reading it. And I got a message like, what's this book? I was like, I've probably already mentioned it. I've read it like 3 times. It's just one of those books that is really empowering. It's very simple terms, nothing too complicated, it's not boring. And it just lifts you up, and I just think it's really nice. The first time I read it, I literally binged it, which I think is quite unusual for like a self-help book, for it to like actually be a page turner. I don't know if I was just in a really bad place or not, but I just absolutely love it. Anyway, and I was reading it the other day and she is on about self-sabotage. And this is the thing I think, when you read a book more than once, the second time you pick up different things. I think it depends like where you are in your life as well, what's happening. First time I read it, I definitely picked up other stuff from it. Because obviously you're going through stuff, so then you're trying to put, I don't know, your experiences and your situations on, you know, what you're reading, what you're learning. Anyway, this month for me, self-sabotage was the theme. And she describes it as, when we self-sabotage, it is often because we have a negative association between achieving the goal we aspire to and being the kind of person who has or does that thing. So this is like an easy way people self-sabotage, right? You're at home, you're scrolling through Hinge or Tinder or Grindr, and you see somebody that you fancy, you think is hot, you like the sound of him, look of him, wherever. But you put in your head that because he's got a picture and he's in good shape, wherever, or he would probably want to be with somebody that's in the gym. Or, oh no, he looks like super creative and outgoing. He probably wants somebody that's in a certain job. And like you feed yourself with all negativity, like negative talk, convince yourself that you're not good enough ultimately, and then you done swipe. And then, you know, you could miss the chance. That could be the love of your life. And a little bit of self-sabotage, a little bit of negative talk, and he's gone. Maybe to never return again. I mean, if you're meant to be, you'll bump into him somewhere. But you get the gist. And it's also like, I think if you look at it deeper, which is obviously what I was doing, you can think like of something you really want, like a job or something you really want. And then this is how I noticed I did it basically, like with the podcast. I self-sabotage constantly because I think I want it to be successful, and I enjoy doing it so much that I put such a huge amount of pressure on myself, and then I just end up talking myself out of everything, and then just getting completely overwhelmed and just not doing half the stuff that I'm thinking of. And I didn't realise that was self-sabotage, because it doesn't feel like it when you're in the moment, because you're just going about your life. Sometimes you've got to really catch yourself. Like, I bet on Hinge, like, if anybody has ever done that, or even, like, I don't know, if you're out or something, you see somebody you like, and you might just look at them and they friend group and just think, oh no, we'd never get on. And like, you don't even bother doing it. Like, that might not feel like self-sabotage, because like I said, you think it's like a really big thing, but it's not. It's just little stuff, and you got to catch yourself. And that's what I'm here to do this week. Because basically I had a therapy session, and it's the first one of its kind, where I was so overwhelmed with thoughts. My brain was just like actually hurting. And I sat down and I couldn't even talk. You know, when you're just like, this is what happens to me anyway. I get like so worked up about something that then it's like I experience burnout, and I just can't do anything. And I was anxious as well. And I just got on the phone to her, and I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. I was like, I've just got so much to do, and I just can't talk a minute. She was like, right, okay, that's okay. And then obviously I just burst into tears. I was like, I can't. Anyway, she convinced me. We've spoken about self-sabotage before, because she's picked up on it. And I think that's why I've like now picked up on it when I'm reading the book and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I do that. Because I'll be saying to her like stories and, you know, stuff that's happening in my life. And she's like, you're sabotaging yourself there. Because, you know, X, Y, Z. Honestly, guys, you know, I live, laugh, love therapy. I just think, yeah, tell me more about myself and my brain and how it works, please. Anyway, that's how I ended up missing a week on the podcast, because she was like, look, take a breather. Really, you know, you need to manage your time. Really, like, block times for certain things, and, you know, commit yourself to doing the podcast stuff only in the 2-hour window after work, or an hour on your lunch, or, you know, hour before work, etc., rather than just like, God knows what I do at the minute. And she was like, look, just take a week. How about if you did the podcast every 2 weeks? She was like, what if you put an episode out now every week? And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't think any podcast does that. But I was like, I don't know. Anyway, took the weekend, had a thought, went on a little spa break. I was in a robe. I was in the sauna. I'm really not usually like a spa sauna girly. It was lush. I think I just really needed it. I was, you know, in the mountains. I don't know what happens after you turn 30, where suddenly you're interested in mountains and scenery and quaint little towns. Like, when I was younger, my mother used to be like, oh, come on, lovely town. And then my father be walking around, I'd be behind thinking, oh my God, boring. No, that's me now. A quaint little town with a coffee shop and, you know, unusual little shops where you can buy little trinkets, surrounded by natural beauty and quietness. Heaven. Absolute heaven on earth. I can get a little matcha latte and a little souvenir from the shop. Yes, please. Sign me right up. I was not interested in even drinking. I think I had 2 drinks the whole weekend. I was just basking in the scenery. Let's go for a walk. Something just switches when you turn 30, and you just enjoy different things. I found myself poking heads in the windows of shops and literally thinking, I am my mother. Like, I have become my mother. Because when did I get so interested in crockery? I don't know when it happens, but it just happens at some point. Actually, a man told me this before. A guy that I met at a bar before was asking me if I was in a relationship and stuff. And he had a wife and I had a boyfriend. And he was asking like, oh, have you got kids or anything? I was like, no, kids, a teenage pregnancy. Sir, I'm merely 32. What do you mean if I got children? How rude of you. Anyway, so I was just chatting like, no. You must have seen from my reaction, I was like, no, not yet. And this was a couple of years ago, to be fair. And he was like, do you know what? Me and my wife were exactly like that. He was like, people would ask us, we'd be like, no, we don't want kids. We were enjoying traveling and just enjoying ourselves, didn't have any interest in it. And then he said, suddenly, she turned 34, I turned 35, or the other way around, wherever. And he was like, we just looked at each other and was like, oh, should we try for kids? I think I'm ready. And he was like, it honestly just changed. It felt like overnight, where suddenly you just want kids. He was like, it will probably happen to you. I was like, oh my God. And I can relate because now I'm interested in mountains and trinket shops and things that I was never interested in before. And I'm no longer interested in clubbing. I prefer day drinking now. I prefer being home at a reasonable hour. I prefer lunches to dinners, especially in the winter. I don't even want to go out in darkness anymore. Like, I'm basically a hermit. So, yeah, I imagine kids is just a hop, skip and a jump away at this point. Catch me next year and I'll have a little bebe hanging off my nip. Anyway, we'll see. I've obviously gone way off track. What was I saying? Yes, I was saying that I was overwhelmed. I went on a little weekend away and I thought it was working and I was going to be so motivated to be like, she was basically telling me like, really decide, you know, because I feel a bit lost at the minute with the podcast. We'll get into it, I'm sure, in this episode. This episode feels a bit like a therapy session to me, to be honest, but it's probably needed. So forgive me. She was like, really have a think about who you want to be, on the podcast. And like, it's okay to be vulnerable on this, she was telling me, like, and being open and being more honest and stuff. Anyway, it was all sunshine and rainbows that weekend. I have her on a Friday, set me right up. Come Monday, the feeling of me waking up knowing I didn't have a podcast, I don't know why I thought I'd be okay with it. I had anxiety the whole week. And rather than acting on it, what did I do? Self-sabotage. Didn't do anything that I said I was going to do. Didn't do anything until like the following Friday. So I had all week in an anxious state. And I would usually convince myself that's like procrastination, lazy. Well, actually, I listened to another podcast about procrastination, and it basically happens when you're stressed. So it kind of comes down to the same thing, basically. There's always a deeper meaning for everything. And yeah, that's like self-sabotage. So that's what I did. So basically, to conclude, I definitely can't do 2 episodes a week 2 episodes a month. Because what would I do in that in-between week? It was hell. I didn't enjoy it at all. But then I was thinking, obviously, about my experiences this week. I thought, let me just share it. Let's try something a bit different. Let's go back to an old school episode where I would have a subject and talk about it. Please let me know if you enjoy or if you don't. As long as you're kind, I think I can handle it. Anyway, let me read out 10 signs of self-sabotage. Because I do think this is helpful, to be fair. It's definitely helped me. I'm the type of person that I need to understand how something's working for me to feel like I can better it. And again, my friend said this as well, because she's just signed up for therapy, and she was like, I want to understand like what's going on in my brain. And I'm like, I'm the same. Because I think when you can understand something, you can like recognize it, you can acknowledge it, and then you can change it. Whereas if you're just in the midst of life and you're in the smog and you don't know what's happening and why you're doing something, then how can you get better? So anyway, here's 10 signs for self-sabotage. Negative self-talk. Self-destructive behaviours. So I think that's also like, I think I used to do that in my 20s. Like, know I had something on the next day, or knowing I should be doing something to like deal with my chronic anxiety and stuff. But instead, just going out and getting like absolutely steaming and going clubbing 4 nights a week, Constantly seeking distractions. Hello, TikTok. Or engaging in time-wasting activities. Absolutely. Sometimes I find myself sitting and just like having a breather and just like looking into space. Like, am I troubled? Probably. Lack of boundaries. Difficulty saying no or setting clear boundaries. Definitely struggle with that. I'm getting a lot better, but I think lots of people struggle with that. It's hard to say no to people, especially people that you're not that comfy with, or people that you want to impress. Like if you just started dating somebody and they say, Like, I think this is an easy bit of a self-sabotage. You've made a plan to get up on Monday, go for a run, or get up on a Sunday, whatever, go for a run or go to the gym, do your food shop, and basically set yourself up for the week. And then your date texts you on Saturday and is like, oh, my plans have got cancelled actually, and I'm free now. Do you want to go for dinner? And you're like, oh yeah, I do want to go for dinner with you because I really like you. And then dinner turns into drinks, and then you end up staying over, and then you've ruined your Saturday. Obviously, you also want to see the person, so it's not like complete self-sabotage because you're enjoying yourself, but like, I think not being able to say no to things, or like if your friend messages you and is like, oh my God, I've had such a shit day in work, can we please go for a drink? I 100% would say yes, even if I had loads of my own stuff to do. I would say yes and then get myself super stressed out about my to-do list the next day. So yeah, that's definitely one I struggle with. Holding on to limiting beliefs about oneself or the world. Holding on to baggage of the past. Fear of failure. That definitely holds so many people back, especially like in dating as well, like chatting people up. Like the amount of people that will not shoot their shot with somebody on a night out. Admittedly, I won't, but if I've had a few drinks in me, I will. Absolutely, I'm shooting my shot. But yeah, fear of failure holds a lot of people back. And perfectionism, definitely. Trying to control everything. I think I have an issue with that as well. And comparing yourself to others. So they are actually signs of self-sabotage, guys. Know what I did buy, though, to try and get me out of it? And I've only been using it for a day, but I have really enjoyed it. It's probably been all over your TikTok. The Daily Planner it's from Grace Beverly. Love it. Time mapping, goals, little to-do lists that I can tick off. I really need to get better at my time management skills. Really good purchase. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's burgundy and it just looks really nice and it's just aesthetically pleasing. I wrote on Sunday. I wrote like what I was going to do the next day. And yeah, I was behind schedule, but it's the first day. I'm trying to be gentle to myself. But I do really recommend it. Might even change my life. I don't know. I do just feel at the minute like I'm not the same person that I used to be. And I don't know what person I am. And I don't know if it's because I went through the breakup. I feel like I spoke about this last time. Moved out. Work from home job. I feel like they're 3 quite big kind of life changes to happen all at the same time. I don't know. Has anyone gone through a similar thing? Please come and talk to me about it. But I feel like I'm not the same person as I was before all that stuff happened. And honestly, my phone is the devil because do you ever have clips and it says like on this day 4 years ago? I look at that person and I'm like, who are you? She seems so lustful. That's probably not even the right word, but she seems so happy. She's tanned. Like, your gal used to fake tan a lot or be on holidays more. I don't know. I used to be tanned. I used to be hotter and just more bubbly, I think. And I look at that person, I'm like, she's gone. I don't know, and I don't know where she's gone. And is she ever coming back? I'm not sure. And parts of me don't want that person back. Like, I have grown. Obviously, you go through like a transformation, you know, yourself. And also, obviously, this age, like I'm just getting older as well. So, you know, there's that. But I just feel like at the minute, I'm just a bit lost, basically. But I did read a quote online that said, like, a breakup or a big change in your life can significantly change you, as it often leads to a period of emotional upheaval that can force you to reevaluate your self-perception, relationships and priorities, potentially leading to personal growth, but also can sometimes cause feelings of loss, sadness and a sense of identity disruption. So maybe that's what I'm having, guys. Although the planets also aligned this week. I was out in the night sky. My mother was messaging me. I think we could see Venus. Well, you can see Venus all the time. It's like the brightest star. It looks like a star, but obviously it's not. Mars, you can see because it's red. I really lap that shit up. Again, like, was I always this interested in planets? I don't know. I don't think so. All of a sudden, I'm on NASA's close-up zoom images of the planets now. Did you see the quote I shared on my Instagram? It was like a picture of the moon being sad, and it was like the moon every time I blame being crazy on it. But yeah, not to be like a Debbie Downer, like obviously I'm fine, but I would just love your feedback on the podcast, because I just feel like it's got a little bit lost. I mean, if this is your first time listening, I'm sorry. And we're usually a lot happier and positive here. 80% of the time, maybe 70. But if you're a regular listener, then yeah, just come and let me know what, is there something, if you've been listening for a while, is there something that you miss that I used to do and that we don't do anymore? What's interesting is that when I had that week of crazy anxiety, I had 2 emails from people asking to come on the podcast. This is another way I self-sabotage myself. I don't respond to messages. When I get messages that feel really nice and really like important, and like it's almost like they would take me, I don't know, I feel like quite serious, or like take you to like a different level. I don't respond for ages. Like, it's so messed up. Anyway, yeah, just let me know. I do also keep reading that, like, when you feel really stuck and lost, that usually means that you need to change something, like there are changes coming, and that is a good thing. And that's what I'm trying to see it as, because if I was super happy and content now, then there's nothing wrong with that, but they would mean that nothing needed to change. But I think the fact that I'm not, like, if you are not completely happy and content and enjoying your life, I suppose, then that means that something needs to change, and that can be quite exciting. It means that you've outgrown your current situation, and you need like something else. You need to do something else. So yeah, I think a change needs to happen. I just don't know quite with what yet. Also, living alone is a multitude of emotions. You truly are on a complete high one day, singing and dancing in the kitchen, cleaning your flat, just loving having your own space, and you love every single thing about it. And then literally the same day, hours later, you can be crying and you can feel so lonely and not understand what you're doing. And I see videos of people doing that on TikTok, being like, 1 minute, the next crying in bed. And I'm like, that is so accurate. Like, I'm not actually crying at the minute, so small wins. But there's definitely moments of like, it's just a roller coaster, is how I would say. If any of you live alone, then I'm sure you can relate. It's definitely different, but I do overall still love it. Like, I really couldn't move back in with like a flatmate or a friend now. I could live with a boyfriend again, but I couldn't do a friend, which sounds weird that I would do a boyfriend, but I don't know, there is something that I do generally enjoy having my own space. I saw a quote the other day that said, being single is great unless it's after 10 p.m. or on a Sunday. It's like, it's low-key true. Although I had such a perfect Sunday this week, I got up, I went to a yoga class, which I'm not a yoga girly at all. It's weird because I like the spiritual stuff, but also I'm also a bit on the fence with it, and I'm not really good at doing it in a room full of people. Like, I can't get that relaxed. There's only a certain level of relaxing that I can achieve in a public place with people around me. But anyway, I did something called power yoga because I was like, I obviously want a bit of a workout. I mean, I was not expecting it to be so hard. At one point, we were in some pose, the warrior pose. She said, lift your left leg up and like bend down on your right, like pulse it. I thought, and there's absolutely no chance there is no chance. Next up, we sat in a crow. Now, I never knew what a crow was before. You sat down, you got to put your legs by your ankles and then hover. The girl in front of me was hovering off the ground. I didn't even attempt it. I thought I'm just going to fall flat on my face. I was sat there like, I'm not participating in this. Thank you. Namaste. I shall not be doing. The only thing I didn't like it about it though, right? You know, I've got a massive thing about feet. Girl in front of me was barefoot. At one point, they were like inches, maybe even centimetres away from my face. And that is an issue for me. But apart from that, I actually did really enjoy it, and I did find it relaxing, and the studio was nice and it was lovely. Anyway, so I did that. I met my friend after. We had a little lunch. The sun is shining, by the way, which is officially it's officially killed my desire to move to Australia. So I think really when I was saying that I wanted to move to Australia, I think really I just needed sun, because the blue skies this week, I haven't thought about Australia once. I really, really haven't. So it is mad that I think when you're in the UK, because we don't experience sunlight for so long, I think we genuinely forget how it makes us feel. And then because we have such long winters, we just accept our fate in a grey, dreary world. And we just accept the depression. And we think it's normal and we think it's us. So I truly thought the issue was me. And I need to move to Australia or Dubai. And those are the only places I belong. And then the blue skies came and I was like, oh, the problem isn't me. The problem is just the UK weather. And actually, when it's blue skies, love London. Love being here. Love the UK. So, yeah, that's gone. Anyway, I had a nice Sunday. And then we just sat out in the sun and basked. And that stuff like that, I think when you're living by yourself, is a big deal. And even though sometimes you can feel like you're dragging yourself out, especially in London, you gotta go on the tube and like, you know, you can't walk around with your phone now and you've just always got to be on edge all the time. But those types of things, like when you get out and you're with people and you're just, you know, experiencing life in the city, they are nice. And those types of modes give you like your zest for life back. I have actually become a bit of a scaredy cat in London. I have actually become a girl. Where I was always the type of person that was like, you know, get drunk on the way home, fall asleep on a night bus. That's what I used to do in my 20s. Get steaming and fall asleep on a bus because I was too poor for a taxi. Like, bad. That used to be me. No. Now I'm walking the long way round. I'm not walking through parks. I'm not walking through lanes. I'm not walking through any areas. I've always got my keys in my pocket, ready to attack. Like, I don't know when it happened. I think it's honestly like maybe the last, I wouldn't even say year, maybe the last few months. I'm on true crime TikTok a little bit more than I probably should be. And also my friend had an incident in America. And I just think it's just a little bit scary. Oh my God, you know, the other day though, on the weekend, right, I ordered myself a McDonald's Big Mac meal. I haven't had a Big Mac since I was in school. I've had one Big Mac meal my whole life. And for some reason, Saturday night, I needed it. And I toyed with it in my head. No, you can't eat it. Why are you ordering a Big Mac? Also, I think spending like £15, I think it cost me, on a McDonald's just seems like a bit of a rip-off. I like a McDonald's, but like £15, you know, that's the price of like a very nice burger somewhere. Obviously, I did also have fries, a drink, and randomly, white chocolate and raspberry pie, which I didn't know existed, and it was delicious. Anyway, picture the scene. I'm home alone, rotting. In one of the modes where I was spring cleaning one moment and then the next moment I was depressed. And by the time the night came, I hadn't changed out of my pajamas all day. I'm going to keep it real. I was feeling a little bit low. I thought, right, whatever, order yourself the Big Mac meal. Fuck it. I give the man instructions to come up to my front door, which I never usually do. I usually go down. But I was in peak rotting phase, yeah? He knocks the door. As I open it, I notice that my keys are the other side of the door. Because from the inside, it just locks on a, you know, a little, whatever it's called. And I opened it and my keys were in it. And I thought, oh my God. Like, my first thought was, thank the Lord this delivery man is a decent person. And he hasn't swiped those keys out and then knocked. Because I didn't know the keys were missing. I started to rack my brain. I was like, well, where did I go earlier? No, I hadn't been anywhere. I looked down at my attire. I was in my pyjamas and my dressing gown. I thought, you haven't been out since at least yesterday. And I couldn't remember when I went out. I can't remember if I went out the day before. I must have, but I did. So they had been in my front door overnight. And I wouldn't have even noticed the next night if he hadn't knocked my door. I really felt really stupid. I mean, I'm inside a building. Like, it's not that bad. It's not as if it's like a door on the street, you know what I mean? And also, I've got a safety chain on, so even if somebody like opened it, the chain would go. But the trauma of that would be enough for me. Do you know when I was in a flat before, a DPD driver opened my flat door. I don't know why it was unlocked. Opened my flat door and brought my parcel in. I absolutely shit myself. I screamed and I sent a complaint to DPT. I was going to say like a Karen, but not like a Karen because it was scary. I was home alone and imagine me sitting here now and a man comes in with a parcel. I mean, I'm older now. I probably would just pass away instantly now. I'd probably have a heart attack and I'd be gone. Anyway, dropped her off and went. I wrote a complaint and they sent me a personalised DPT cookie saying like sorry on it. But delivery men, don't do that. Anyway, I was lucky with this one. He was very nice. Okay, I've finally got a story for us. I can only apologise for this week, but we're just rolling with it this week. And this is actually about friendships. I thought, let's have a friendship story for a change. And it says, in 2022, my fiancé went missing while we were living on the other side of the world in the UK, and my friends mobilised like the bloody CIA. They contacted every media outlet, influencer, every channel, to the point where we ended up on the Daily Mail and the BBC were outside my apartment covering the story, trying to help us find him. We found out that he had died. My friends created and promoted a little page that paid for every single expense related to getting him, his family and I home from the UK to New Zealand and covered his funeral so we didn't have to worry about anything financially. How amazing is that? They thought of literally every single thing the week of his funeral, right down to booking a cleaner for my parents' house. So when we returned home from his service, the house was sparkling clean. I would never think about that. Like, that is so amazing and so thoughtful and just such a nice idea if anyone's going through something to just book a cleaner. Like, it's little things like that are probably more special than a gift because when you go in through like such hard times, you haven't got the energy of you to do anything. Like, that would mean so much. My florist even made a mini bouquet for me to put in his casket with him for the wedding we never got to have. I had a friend book me a weekly masseuse to come to my house. They sent me for facials to Reiki specialists, saunas and ice baths. They filled my family's freezer. Then when I said to one of my best friends, I need to get out of here, I'm going to move to Melbourne, she said, cool, when are we going? And moved with me. And now we have a family with 2 dogs and I live a happy life with her. My friends remember every special date. They checked in every single day, kept me from wanting to give up on my life. I thought my life was over when Joseph died, but then I realised more loves in my life were right in front of me. Platonic love always. So cute and so true, you know. You should never let your friendships go when you're in a relationship because there's just things that your partner can never cover the same way as a friend, especially like if you're straight. There's things that only the girlies will understand and the man just will never get it. They're just on a different planet and you just need your girl friendships. So, so important. Also, to go back to my weekend, men, if you're listening, this one's for you. Pilates is not for you. When I go to my Pilates class, I don't want to see or hear a man grunting on the machine. I don't want to see his baggy t-shirt. I don't want to see him sweating. I don't want to hear him. I just want to go in with my friend in our cute Pilates set, our matching set. I want to be surrounded by the girlies. I want to do my workout in peace. And then I want to leave and get a little matcha. Just let us have this one thing. Pilates is it's just not for you. I'm sorry, it's for the girls and the gays. If you're a gay man, this doesn't apply to you. But a straight man, I had class the other day. I walked in, I looked over, I thought, what are you doing here? A male. I don't care if it's your boyfriend. Like, don't bring your boyfriend either. I just don't want to see you. I wouldn't take my boyfriend to Pilates. I almost think it's just rude. It's inconsiderate for the girlies. We don't want to be, bent over wondering if somebody's looking at us from behind. We just need one safe space where we can dress pretty and work out in peace. Really, really threw off my chakra this weekend when I saw a man in my Pilates class. Okay, I've got another story to end. And she says, casual things my boyfriend and I did before getting together. Literally nothing. We met in Mexico at 14 and never fell out of love with each other. Even though I lived in Texas and him in the UK, we told each other we were going to marry each other one day when we were 18. We kept tabs on each other through all our relationships. Gonna have to put a pin in that. I love the sentiment behind it because it's romantic, but also, can we appreciate that you've been dragging other people into this? And what's the point of dating somebody if you're thinking about somebody else? That's the thing about life that I can't understand, because you're wasting both your times. And I get that the timing has to be right for stuff to work, but if you're fully keeping tabs on somebody, what are you going to do? Wait until they get engaged and then send them a message? There's no point. If you like somebody that much that you're thinking about them, send them a message and just date other people for the sake of it. Because what if that other person was super in love with you and, really thought you were the one and you were thinking about your holiday fling at 14? I'm sorry to be negative Nancy there, but come on now, let's be a bit more considerate. Anyway, I'll go back into romance mode. We kept tabs on each other through all our relationships. We FaceTimed for the first time 12 years later and admitted we were still in love with each other. We decided to meet up for a few days, which turned into a month. He proposed that trip. Oh my God. So I moved across the world and we eloped a few months later. Now we've been married for 7 years and have a 2-year-old together. Oh, that is really sweet. And I love that she just went over there and he was move, stay for a month and move. And she just did it without overthinking it. I really applaud that, because I do think as a girl, we live in the overthinking trenches. It's our home. Shady overthinking orcs. That's where we live. And I can imagine her going to her friends and her family and saying that and then being oh, do you think you should do that? You're giving up your life for somebody? And you can just imagine the conversations. And I love that she was just no, I'm doing it. She would have had the FOMO of what if. That would probably be me. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to wrap it up. Please just give me some feedback, because I do just feel just a little bit lost. So yeah, come and chat to me. Come and let me know what you're up to. If you've got any stories, please send them through to Sadie@lovewhatluck.com. And please leave me a little 5-star review if you're listening on Spotify. Actually, when I was feeling down last week, I opened it up and I had 2 extra reviews. And I was like, life is worth living. Ooh. I had that, and then I had the emails of people asking to come on, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't give up. It's a sign. So, when I hear from you guys, it does really lift my spirits. Anyway, I'm sorry for being so depressed this year. If it's your first time, thank you if you've made it this far. And let me know what you want to speak about next week, and I will see you then. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.